Hello everybody, Dr. P here. In this video I will cover Math 20-2 Radicals, Topic 2, Example 2 on page 16 in your workbooks. We will be here converting from entire radicals to mixed radicals. So we're going to be doing the opposite operation from example 1 in the previous video. If we take a look at example A here, we have an entire radical here, and we're essentially going to reverse the steps we just did when we were converting from mixed to entire. The first step here is going to be to factor the 12. Okay, the radicand is 12, we need to factor it, but not just any way. We need to factor it in such a way that we end up with the largest possible perfect square as one of the factors. Okay, so 12 can be, for example, factored into 2 and 6. 2 times 6 is 12. This is not going to work because neither 2 or 6 is a perfect square. What we need to do here is we need to factor the 12 into 4 and 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 is a perfect square, and in this particular case, it's the largest possible perfect square factor. Now we can split this radical into two radicals. So we have square root of 4 times square root of 3. And then we just take the square root of the perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2. So we are left with 2 as a numerical coefficient times square root of 3. And that's our mixed radical that corresponds to this entire radical. In B here, we're going to factor 18 into 9 and 2. So 9 times 2 is 18. 9 is a perfect square. We can split this radical into 2. So it's going to be square root of 9 times square root of 2. We take the square root of the perfect square. So it's going to be 3 times square root of 2. Next example here, 32 can be factored into 16, which is a perfect square, times 2. We split this radical into 2, so it's going to be square root of 16 times square root of 2, and then square root of 16 is 4 times square root of 2. In D, now this is a bit of a larger number, and there's actually several perfect square factors here that we could factor out. Remember how I mentioned in example A that we want to factor out the largest possible perfect square. Okay, in this case that's 36. So 36 times 2 is 72, and 36 is a perfect square. And we can split this into two radicals. So square root of 36 times square root of 2. Square root of 36 is 6 times square root of 2. Okay. Now, as it turns out, there is another way we can do this. It's a longer way, but I'm still going to show it because sometimes we might end up doing it this way, even if we don't intend to. If I wouldn't have factored out 36, and instead would have factored out, say, 9. All right? 9 times 8 is 72. And 9 is a perfect square. Okay, we can do it this way. 9 is not the biggest perfect square that can be factored out. That's 36. Okay, so if we do it like this, if we factor out a perfect square that's not the largest perfect square, what's going to happen here is, so I'm going to shorten it a little bit. So remember, we split up the two radicals. We're going to get square root of 9 times square root of 8. Square root of 9 is 3. So this is going to be 3 times square root of 8 as a mixed radical. This is only part of the way. We need to continue. If we take a look at the radicand is the number and the radical symbol is 8. We can factor out another perfect square from 8. 4. 4 times 2 is 8. If we can factor out another perfect square from the radicand, we have to do it. Okay, so we need to repeat this process we did here. We're going to, the 3 will just carry, it's a coefficient that's outside the radical now. We're going to factor 8 into 4 and 2. And again, we're going to split this. So it's going to be 3 times square root of 4 times square root of 2. Square root of 4 is 2, so we're left with 3 times 2 times square root of 2. 3 times 2 is 6 times square root of 2. And this is our final answer. We can see that this is the same as this. And this is the corresponding mixed radical in its simplest form. And that's what we always are trying to do. And if you look at the question, it even says, express each entire radical as a mixed radical in its simplest form. Okay, so this is a mixed radical. This one here was a mixed radical, but it's not in its simplest form because we're still able to factor out another perfect square from 8. Okay, that's it. That's a wrap. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the math be with you. See ya.